A massive wave of Russian missiles and drones slammed into cities across Ukraine overnight and into the early morning hours, causing widespread damage to energy infrastructure and civilian buildings. The coordinated assault, one of the largest in recent months, targeted major urban centers from Lviv in the west to Kharkiv in the east, renewing fears of a brutal air campaign as the conflict grinds on. Ukrainian officials reported that the attacks appeared specifically designed to cripple the nation's power grid and instill terror among the population. Air raid sirens wailed for hours in Kyiv, Odessa, Dnipro, and other regions, forcing millions of people into shelters. The Ukrainian Air Force claimed to have intercepted a significant portion of the incoming projectiles, but the sheer volumes of the barrage overwhelmed defenses in several key areas, leading to direct hits, casualties, and extensive fires. In the capital city of Kyiv, explosion rocked the pre-dawn sky. Mayor Vitaly Klitschko confirmed that several critical infrastructure facilities on the city's outskirts were hit, resulting in power and water disruption in multiple districts. Debris from intercepted missiles rained down on residential areas, damaging apartment buildings and setting vehicles ablaze. Emergency crews scrambled through the city, tending to the injured and extinguishing fires. One large piece of a downed missile crashed into a shopping center that had been previously damaged, shattering its remaining windows and causing a partial collapse of the roof. Eyewitnesses describe a terrifying scene, with the sound of air defense system firing continuously, followed by the deep, ground-shaking thuds of impact. The attack on Kyiv seemed aimed at both infrastructure and morale, a punishing message sent directly to the heart of Ukrainian leadership. The city military administration urged residents to remain in shelters until the all-clear was given, a process that took nearly 5 hours as successive waves of drones and missiles were launched from different directions. The southern port city of Odessa, a vital hub for grain export, suffered a devastating blow. Russian munitions struck port infrastructure, igniting a massive fire at a grain terminal and damaging loading equipment. The attack threatened to further complicate global food supply chains, which depend heavily on the Black Sea corridor. Local authorities reported that a separate missile hit a warehouse complex near the port, triggering a secondary explosion that was felt miles away. Rescue workers were seen pulling people from the rubble of a nearby administrative building that was heavily damaged in the blast. The attack on Odessa was a clear strategic move intended to choke Ukraine's economy by targeting its ability to export goods. The strike on the grain terminal was particularly symbolic, coming at a time when many developing nations rely on Ukrainian agricultural products. The fire burned for most of the morning, sending thick black smoke billowing over the Black Sea coast. In the east, Kharkiv, a city that has endured relentless bombardment throughout the war, was once again a primary target. Russian forces used a combination of guided bombs and S-300 missiles, which are notoriously inaccurate when used for ground targets, to strike the city. The attack hit a dense residential neighborhood, partially destroying an apartment block and causing multiple civilian casualties. Photos from the scene showed rescue workers carefully navigating mountains of debris, searching for survivors trapped under collapsed concrete slabs. The regional governor, Oli Sinihabov, condemned the attack as a deliberate act of terrorism against civilians, stating that no military targets were located in the vicinity of the strike. The city's subway system, which has long doubled as a massive bomb shelter, was once again filled with families seeking refuge from the onslaught. The relentless pressure on Kharkiv highlights Russia's continued effort to make life in the city untenable and to disrupt any sense of normalcy for its remaining residents. Further west, the city of Dnipro was also targeted, with strikes aimed at industrial facilities and energy production site. A major power plant in the region was hit, causing significant damage and forcing emergency shutdowns. The Ukrainian Energy Minister, German Galushchenko, stated that Russia was systematically attempting to dismantle Ukraine's energy system piece by piece. He warned that without a substantial increase in air defense capabilities, Ukraine could face a catastrophic power shortage in the coming month. The attack on Dnipro's industrial heartland are meant to cripple Ukraine's domestic ability to produce and repair military equipment, further increasing its dependence on foreign aid. The strike created a ripple effect, with power outage reported in several surrounding towns and villages that rely on the Dnipro regional grid. Even the western city of Lviv, located far from the front lines and often seen as a relative safe haven, was not spared. Ukrainian air defense successfully intercepted several missiles aimed at the region, but fallen debris caused damage on the ground. The attack on Lviv, a critical logistical hub for Western aid entering Ukraine, served as a reminder that no part of the country is beyond the reach of Russia's long-range arsenal. The regional governor, Maxim Kozysky, praised the work of air defense units but reiterated the urgent need for more systems to protect critical infrastructure and civilian lives across the vast territory of Western Ukraine. The psychological impact of the sirens and explosion in Lviv, a city filled with internally displaced people who fled the fighting in the east, was profound. The Kremlin's Ministry of Defense issued a statement claiming that the strike was a success. The ministry asserted that all designated targets were hit, including military industrial facilities, ammunition depot, and energy infrastructure supporting Ukrainian military operations. Moscow described the assault as a retaliatory measure for recent Ukrainian cross-border attack and drone strikes on Russian territory. The Russian statement made no mention of the civilian casualties or the damage to residential buildings, instead framing the operation as a precise and effective blow against Ukraine's war-fighting capability. Russian state media broadcasted image of missile launch and reported the official narrative that the strikes were weakening the Ukrainian military and bringing Russia closer to achieving its strategic objective in the special military operation. The international community was quick to react to the widespread attack. In Washington, the Trump administration condemned the Russian aggression. A statement released by the White House press office called the strike on civilian infrastructure barbaric and unacceptable. President Donald Trump, while condemning the act, emphasized the need for a swift resolution to the conflict. He reiterated his position that the war must end, hinting at a diplomatic path forward that he believes his administration is uniquely positioned to forge. The statement noted that the United States continues to stand with the people of Ukraine, but stopped short of announcing any new immediate military aid package in response to the attack. The tone was one of strong verbal condemnation mixed with a cautious approach regarding further material commitment, reflecting the administration's broader policy of seeking to de-escalate the conflict through negotiation. The United States Secretary of State Marco Rubio issued a more forceful denunciation from the State Department. Secretary Rubio called the Russian strikes a grave violation of international law and a desperate act by a regime that is failing to achieve its objective on the battlefield. He stated that Russia's targeting of civilians and critical infrastructure was a clear attempt to break the will of the Ukrainian people and that this effort would fail. Secretary Rubio affirmed that the United States would work with its ally to hold Russia accountable for its action, exploring all diplomatic and economic avenues to increase pressure on Moscow. He announced that he would be speaking with European counterparts throughout the day to coordinate a unified response. His statement focused heavily on the legal and moral transgression of the Russian Federation, promising to use international forums to isolate Moscow and support efforts to document war crimes. From the Pentagon, Secretary of Defense Peter Hegseth provided a military assessment of the situation. Secretary Hegseth confirmed that Russia had expended a significant number of high-value cruise and ballistic missiles in the barrage. He noted that while the attack caused substantial damage, they also represented a depletion of Russia's advanced munition stockpiles. In his press briefing, he praised the skill and bravery of Ukrainian air defense crew, who he said performed admirably under immense pressure using a complex patchwork of Western and Soviet air system. Secretary Hegseth reaffirmed the Department of Defense commitment to supporting Ukraine's self-defense. He stated that the United States would continue to provide Ukraine with the tools it needs to protect its skies and its people, though he did not provide specific on what new system might be under consideration. His comments focus on the tactical and strategic dimensions of the attack, framing it within the ongoing military attrition and emphasizing the resilience of the Ukrainian forces. He underscored that the Pentagon remains in constant communication with its Ukrainian counterparts to assess the damage and identify the most critical needs in the wake of the assault. The Director of National Intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard, was reportedly scheduled to brief President Trump and the National Security Council later in the day. The intelligence community focus will be on assessing the true extent of Russia's remaining missile capabilities, the specific goals of this latest campaign, and Moscow's potential next step. Analysts will be working to determine if this barrage signifies a new phase in Russia's air war, or if it was a one-off large-scale strikes intended to achieve a specific political or military effect. The assessment provided by Director Gabbard's office will be crucial in shaping the administration's policy response in the coming days and weeks, particularly regarding the level and type of support offered to Kyiv. The Director of the Central Intelligence Agency, John Ratcliffe, is also working through intelligence channels to gather information on the ground and verify claims made by both Kyiv and Moscow. In Ukraine, President Volodymyr Zelensky addressed the nation in a video message recorded from Kyiv. He stood before the wreckage of a damaged building, vowing that Russia would not succeed in terrorizing the Ukrainian people into a submission. He thanked the nation's emergency service, air defense forces, and ordinary citizens for their courage and resilience. Zelensky made a direct and emotional appeal to world leaders, arguing that every delayed shipment of air defense system results in more lives lost and more cities destroyed. He stated that Ukraine has proven it can effectively use the weapons provided by its partner and plead for more support and faster. His message was one of defiance and urgency, highlighting the human cost of the conflict and placing the responsibility on the international community to help Ukraine defend itself against what he termed Russian genocide. He declared a national day of mourning for the victims of the attack and promised that Ukraine would rebuild everything that was destroyed. The coordinated Russian assault represents a significant escalation and a grim development in the war. The targeting of energy infrastructure, just as preparations for the difficult autumn and winter months should be underway, is a clear sign that Moscow intends to weaponize the cold for another season. The strikes serve as a violent backdrop to the complex diplomatic and political maneuvering occurring in Washington and other Western capitals. As Ukraine counts its dead and assesses the devastating damage to its city and its economy, the pressure mounts on its allies to respond. The events of the day have let bare Ukraine's vulnerability to air attack and have once again placed the debate over the scope and scale of military assistance at the forefront of the international agenda. The world now watches to see how the United States and its partner will answer Kyiv's desperate pleas for help in the face of Moscow's unyielding aggression. The attack was a stark reminder that even as the front line may move slowly, the war can reach any Ukrainian anywhere at any time. Many of my listeners, like 70%, haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel. And so many of you don't even know that you haven't subscribed. And that is actually what makes the show going. It's almost like you're making a donation to the show. So that's why I ask again and again, because it enables us to grow and grow and grow. And we're going for the long haul here. And listen, if this is your first time listening to Sokheim Rich, you don't have to subscribe. You guys, your first ones on me. But if you have watched this show before, it's like you are a freeloader now. So all I would ask you is, if you have seen the show before and you like it, help me, help my team here. Hit that subscribe and like button now, and we will continue to build this show for you. That I swear. Thank you to all of you guys who have subscribed. It means a lot to me. Thank you so much. That's all for me for today. I will see you soon. Bye for now.